I want to turn now to Nick Fox. Those of you who were present for our last session will already have heard from Nick, but I will ask him to give us again a little introduction of what he is currently doing and what his operations are, and then to give us a little contribution from his point of view. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you very much. My name is Nick Fox from International Wildlife Consultants. I've been a farmer all my life. I farm in Wales and in England and in New Zealand. I'm a professional biologist. That's what I do. But I'm also involved with hunting issues, conservation issues, and things like that. For years I've been on the middle way group for hunting, and we did a study on shooting foxes, welfare of shooting foxes, this gentleman in the front some years ago. And it did change my views actually on shooting and snaring as alternatives to hunting. Now, I read this report and I came out of it very confused, because I don't actually believe there is a big difference between wild and domestic animals. I can think of plenty of examples where the wild animal and the domestic so-called animal is very close. I think it's a continuum. Some animals, the dog is an extreme example of a domestic animal, but if you take, for example, Columba livia, the pigeon, you've got your fancy pigeon, you've got your racing pigeon, you've got your feral town pigeon, and the rock dove. They're all Columba livia under the Wildlife and Countryside Act. Which ones are they, domestic or wild? I can show you down on our stand, which has got Abu Dhabi written on it, a bird. It's a gerfalcon. It was an egg 2 months ago. It preens my hair for me. Is it a wild bird or is it domestic? It didn't take me 35 years to domesticate it, and it took 2 months. So I don't think there's a big difference between wild and domestic, but I do see where this report is driving at, and I do actually agree with the end conclusion. I just don't particularly agree with the logic that you're reaching it at. And I think what the first thing you're trying to get at here is actually anthropomorphism. Other animals don't necessarily think, behave and react in the same way as humans. And that is true to some extent, but mark my words, we are animals. We are animals. Everything about us is animals. We are part of the whole picture. There is no real difference in the end. We are going to overpopulate this planet because we're too stupid to control our own population levels. But when it comes to, for example, hunting issues and how the fox behaves in front of hounds, and I've been a fox hunter all my life, and I hunt crows on horseback, which is a kind of avian fox hunting, if you like. I think what we're trying to come down to is the discussion of fear. Fear. What does the fox feel when it's hunted? What does it feel after it's been hunted or before it's been hunted? And yes, should we treat it the same way as our dog? Maybe not, but I wouldn't like to shoot my dog with a shotgun or snare it either, because we did a study on that and I wasn't very happy with it. So where does the fear come from? Now, fear has 3 roots. One of it is genetic, and this is where we're trying to differentiate between domestic and wild. If you are born, you have a genetic makeup which affects what you look like, your morphology. But it also affects how you think, your behaviour. And I'm sure all of you have said, oh, so-and-so's just like his mum, or like her mum, whatever. Not just to look at, but you see the little mannerisms coming in. Now, genetic behaviour, we call it instinct. It's something that's born in you. So that's one root of fear. You can't change your genes. Another root of fear is imprinting. Now, if you get a lamb or a duckling, for the first few hours of its life, you can imprint it on an object which isn't necessarily its mother. Any of you that have had ducklings imprinted on your welly and followed you all around the place know what imprinting is like. It's a mechanism that's very quick. Now, in deer, lambs and precocial animals, that process is very quick because they've got to be able to run away from predators as soon as they are hatched or born. It's a very quick process. But other species, and humans are one of them, are slow developers. We develop, our childhood is what? Supposed to be 18 years, but really it's more like 30, I should think. We have a very slow developmental period. That's when our responses develop. And within imprinting, there's a very defined part of your life when you become a shy person or not. And we can do it, as I say, with this falcon, just in a few weeks as it grows up. We can make it frightened of some things and not frightened of other things. You can have a hawk that's brought up, it can see your dog, say you've got a spaniel, you can see your spaniel, be perfectly happy with it, it'll go run, preen its ears for it, sees another spaniel, terrified of it. Okay, it can discriminate. So you've got genetic, that's instinctive fear, you've got imprinted fear, and the last one is learned fear. This is experience, okay? And we all know what learning to fear is about. You put your hand on a hot plate, and you damn well learn what hot plates are about, and you don't do it again, okay? So we have those three routes, and we can apply that. And I'm not going to rabbit on, because I know you want me to stop. When it comes to the fox, can he anticipate and fear? Yes, he can. He can think into the future, but not for very far ahead. Maybe just a few minutes can he anticipate what's going to happen. So he doesn't lie awake at night biting his claws, worrying about hunting that's going to happen, like we would, because we've got to see the bank manager tomorrow and we don't know if we're going to make ends meet. We can anticipate because we as humans are more intelligent and we can see further into the future. So we can understand the concept of death much better than animals can, because we can talk about it to each other and we can look much more into the future. But don't be smug. We're not so intelligent that we can see very far into the future. Our elections tend to be every few years. Most of us can't see even to the end of our own lives, so most of us don't even have an effective pension plan, let alone thinking about controlling our human population. So let's not be smug. We are better than animals, but we still are animals. We understand fear, but don't put our feelings about fear onto the hunted fox. So I've gone the full circle and I've ended up agreeing with them at that end, but not exactly the same route.
Thank you. Thanks very much.